Welcome back. Today I'm doing, I believe it's part 3, in my facing life's challenges. So today I'm going to be talking to you about probably the biggest challenge that I've faced and still am facing, and that is my childhood. Not just my childhood, but my body dysmorphia. So let's get started. Now, some of you know and some of you don't. I grew up in a very abusive household. Both my parents abused me, not just me. I mean, I'm one of 8. We all got abused in one way or another. Growing up in a household with a narcissistic mother and a violent father was not nice. Being one of 4 girls, we were made to feel not good enough, not as good as our mother. It didn't matter what we did, we would never be as pretty as her. In fact, she deliberately dressed us in such a fashion as to make us not look our best. I myself never ever considered myself pretty. I still don't. I've always been fluffy, I call it fluffy. I'm not fat, I'm fluffy. I've always been that way. Now, I was born at 5 pound, but I was still chubby. So, growing up, one of my siblings gave me the nickname Fat. And then it continued to Fat. When you're told that if you say something often enough to someone, they will believe it. And I did. I believed that I was fat. No matter how much I tried, I was still fat. So eventually in my mid to late 20s, I became anorexic. I lost a lot of weight. I went down to 45 kilos. Do the conversions yourself. In fact, when I fell pregnant with my daughter Erica, I weighed 45 kilos. I still thought I was fat. I was wearing Australian size 8s and 10s. That's not fat. But I felt I was. In my mind, I was fat. I also felt that no matter what I did, I would never be lovable. That no one would look at me and go, "Oh, you're nice." But my sisters say to me, "Oh yes, but you're always popular with the boys." I don't remember that. I had a boyfriend when I was 16. Then I had another one at, I guess I was 19, 18. But I could count on one hand how many boyfriends I had. And no, they weren't all physical. And so I didn't think that I would ever find anyone. In fact, I said, I don't want to get married. Don't want any kids. I did. And I do. I just never felt good enough. I always felt that love comes at a price. So I was prepared to do whatever it took to find love. In my early 20s, I spent, early to late 20s, I spent those years searching for someone who would be my mother. Like the child's story about the duck that's, will you be my mother? Until finally it does find someone who will be its mother. But before anyone could love me, I had to find it within myself to love myself. I have somewhat accepted that I'm not ugly. I am fat. And I have somewhat accepted that I will never have a perfect body. I now have a husband who accepts me for who I am, but that took a long time. When you think about it, growing up, trying so hard to fit in and never fitting in, to think that I'll never be good enough. It wasn't until I started travelling with my work that I learned that I needed to love me. And I quite enjoyed the thought that I can think anything I want and no one can judge me. And I thought, yes, I can do that. And that's when I started to pull myself together. Now, when Jeff and I first we were seeing each other, and before, I thought I'd tell him everything before we got serious. Well, I was serious, but, before we committed. So I told him everything. And the best piece of advice that he gave me, or the best reaction he could have given me, was, I can't change your past. That's gone. But I can change what happens now and in the future. So he didn't reject me like I'd been rejected so many times before. I still have issues with rejection. I still think that sometimes I'm not good enough. But I keep going. I enjoy being silent. I enjoy being safe and secure. I call this my cave because I feel safe in it. I don't feel judged in it. And when I was at high school, when it's important, in those years, I was never part of the popular group. I wasn't even part of the losers. I had no real friends. I was never allowed to go. I had one during high school. Her name was Anne. But I was never allowed to go to her place. She was never allowed to come to mine. She couldn't ring me. That was a rule that my mother set. She got a telephone that had a key and it locked so that nobody could make a call. Yes, you could get calls coming in, but you couldn't make a call going out. I kept a diary and I wrote in that diary, and I felt comfortable writing in a diary. until the day my mother found it and read it and said, this is a whole pile of nonsense, and tore it up. I got my last beating from her when I was 17, and I was kept home from work, my job, in punishment. No one rang my boss to say that I wasn't coming. She beat me with her fists, and she didn't care where she hit. And you could see the hatred, well I could see the hatred in her eyes as she beat me. Eventually, she called me out of my room and sat me down and said, I only do it because I love you. And I remember thinking at the time, don't love me so much, please. It hurts. And it was just a simple, the beating I got was simply over me not drying the dishes the night before. This is before dishwashers. I didn't dry the dishes the night before. So I got into trouble for that. Then I was made to dry the dishes, the dry dishes I had to dry again. And each piece of cutlery, as I put it in the drawer. Now, if you consider there were 7 of us, 7 children and her, so that's 8 people living in that house, so that's an awful lot of cutlery. As I dried the dry cutlery, she picked up each piece and inspected it. And if there was a spot on it, she would say to me, do it again. I took it for a while. Now, I am normally a very patient person, but when someone inspects every detail of what you're doing, then you've got a breaking point. And I snapped. So I threw the lot in the drawer and ran out. As I was running out the back door, my mother yelled at my older brother to catch me. Well, he was too afraid of her too, so he caught me. That's when the beating started. Eventually, at the end of the day, I found out, the next day when I went to work, my boss said nobody rang. I explained what had happened, and I had to quit because I was embarrassed. I was so embarrassed that I was beaten by my mother and kept home from work as punishment. So that's that story. But I have many stories. Look, I got a tick. I must have been 6, 7 at most. I got a tick in my groin. And my father pulled it out. My mother went berserk because he was touching me in an area that's inappropriate. I certainly didn't think anything about it. All I thought was my father's pulling a tick out. No, she went berserk. Same woman also said to me, when I was 15, we were going somewhere in the car, and she said, of all my daughters, I expect you to have a baby out of wedlock. I did. I had 2. But that was the way she thought. What she thought I was some loose woman, or I could be a loose woman. But I wasn't. The last thing on my mind was that. That was that. But the main points that I wanted to make was, whatever happened in the past is past. It can't be changed. Learn from it. Realise that who you are now is a result of how you were brought up. So if you've turned out to be a nice person and you're happy with your life, it's because of what you went through. I am a strong person, and I'm strong because of what I went through. I was able to deal with a 12-week premature baby being born. I was able to deal with her cerebral palsy and my son's ADHD. I was able to deal with my breast cancer, which will be another one. My two strokes. Had I not been strong enough, I wouldn't have coped with any of that. But I am strong. And the strength comes from within me and within my brain, but that's where it is. The strength is there within you. You just have to look inside and look at yourself and say to yourself, am I good enough for me? Am I good enough for me? Yes. Am I good looking enough? Yes. And if you don't like me, bye-bye. If you don't like the way I talk, look, sound, leave. Don't watch. Don't talk to me. I have everything that I need within me, with Jeff and my kids. The rest, it can disappear tomorrow and it doesn't matter. Yes, I do appreciate my siblings and my family, and yes, I do respect my mother. No way I could have 9 children. She lost one. There's no way I could have 9 children and remain sane. So I respect her for that. I respect her for her position. She is my mother. I don't have to like her, but she is my mother, and that's how it should be. The thing that you need to have is respect. And if you have no self-respect, then you can't respect anybody else. Love starts with you. So that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Keep an eye out. I will do 2 videos a week. One will be my travel, and the other will be my life's challenges. So thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.